course. You have no idea what you're doing. You're an amateur. An amateur. Next day or the next morning, and these are the parts that I showed you at least once before. That this is where the transmission gets bolted to. This is where the brake. This is where the brake calipers go, and I think this sits on top. I don't know what any of it. I mean, when I first got this was like this, and I was like, what the heck does this thing do? What are these huge slots for in here? And I realized that this thing actually slides in there like that. So, that's pretty, I mean, that solves a lot of things, a lot of questions that I had. But first we're gonna go ahead and I think we're gonna get this is the bottom, so we're gonna get this thing bolted to this. Hopefully we get it bolted in the right way. Which I think is the way that it's sitting right now. Should be the right way. But it's hard to say because I don't have any pictures of this thing. I didn't take it apart, and I don't have any pictures of one to put together because they're super rare, and nobody has one. So I'm trying to figure this thing out the best I can. Alright, so we got the brake rotors. I sandblasted them and painted them to keep them from rusting. The brake pad, it rides on like this very outside part here, and it'll just scrape this paint off. I don't see it being, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But these go on here like so, just like that. And then snap ring. We got big snap rings. Ooh, we need different snap ring pliers. I don't know if these are going to work. We're going to try it though. Oh, there we go. One brake rotor. So this goes on the inside. It goes like that. All right, I want to give you a better look at how this works. So we got these two. They're hooked up. They got cotter pins in them, but you don't tighten these nuts all the way down because that's kind of the adjustment. There's a spring behind here to push this little arm out. I like to call it a cam because it's kind of like a cam. It's got lobes on it. It's got lobes on it to push on there. So, and then you got your lever here. The brake pedal hooks on with a linkage from here, and then when it pulls on that, it clamps the brakes down. Or if it pushes, same difference actually. It doesn't matter which way it goes. So. But yeah, so there's our brakes. They may need some adjustment, I don't know. But yeah, that's a huge step forward right there. Yeah, Mike, right there. That looks like they already need some adjustment in. So, but we'll wait for later for that. Oh. So the next thing is going to be getting this guy on, and it looks like it just goes right on top of the transmission. See from the witness marks kind of how it goes from the rust and whatnot on here, and it looks like it goes like this. Boom, just like that. Good morning, everybody. I hate to have you over in this part of the shop, but I kind of cleaned off the other bench to work on the MR2 transmissions, and then now I'm over here with this, just trying to figure out the linkage and stuff. But you know, I've been staring at this for a couple days, and I think I figured out how it works. So I don't know if I'm going to explain this in a way that's going to make any sense, because I think a couple people tried to explain it to me, and I couldn't really quite grasp it until I, you know, saw it happening. That's the way that one goes. So what happens here is this is the lever to shift this thing into gear, right? So this moves these two shift levers on the side of the transmission. And then it also moves this entire plate, as you can see. So when this plate moves, bam, that automatically is supposed to put, I think that's forward. That could be reversed. No, that's forward, pretty sure. So that automatically moves this thing forward, and it should be putting pressure on these bands down here. So there's a set of forward bands and reverse bands, I believe, is how it works. So this thing is missing linkage, and as you can see right here, I have this piece of all thread in here. I just have that laying around, and last night it kind of came to me how this works. So there should be a lever coming off of here. So when this shifts into forward like this, it's going to push on a lever that pushes on the bottom of this, which pushes on the forward gears, right? Or on the forward bands. But then when you want to turn, so that will be pushing against, because it's pushing forward, it's pushing against these things here. And because that's pushing against those, when this thing moves side to side, which the steering wheel is going to be connected to these two via cables. So when you turn the steering wheel, this is going to go back, and that takes the pressure off of this band and puts it on the reverse band. So depending on how far you turn, I guess, I don't know. You could just turn a little bit, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but it kind of makes sense. So I don't know. They had something going on with these. We're not going to use them. They're bent already anyways. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to make up some linkage. I got this piece of 1" by 1/4" flat bar, and we are going to drill a hole for this pivot, and we're going to drill holes for this to hook up here and one down here, and then we're going to have to make a linkage that goes from this to this, but we'll get that all done. It's not going to be too bad. So stay tuned. I'll have this whipped up in a jiffy. Here's what we got going on. Okay, I built this linkage here, just made these two arms here, two little arms down here, and then got some pins and some different collared bolts, or what are they called? I don't know. They got a shaft in them, and then the nut goes on, so this can move freely. In here, this is where it slides in. Two bolts go through here, and those other two kind of slide over this, but this bolt right here is frozen solid. So I'm going to have to cut that guy out before we go and stick it in here. And we don't have our torque converter yet, but I think we can go ahead and put it on, and then we'll put the torque converter on when we get it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it figured out right there. We'll try and get this thing working as smoothly as possible on the bench, and then we'll get it installed in the Kadoo, and then hopefully our torque converter part comes soon, and we'll be able to drive this thing. Well, we still have to put the chains on too, which I have. I have the chains right here. So that'll be the next thing. Once we get this transmission figured out, we're gonna get those chains put on, and we want to drive this thing. So stay tuned, that's coming up soon. All right, I don't know what just happened, but I know I left the key on in this because I was checking to see which way the engine rotates. But I was over there at the drill press, and I hear something just like splash and kind of explode. It's the dang coil. Look at that. It's come apart. I don't know what kind of fluid is inside of a coil, but now it's all over everything. It blew up. A freaking MSD coil. So I gotta get another new coil for this thing. It's ridiculous. Alright, it took me a while, but I finally got this all adjusted so that it works. Shifts into gear properly, and everything works. Spins as it should. That's the forward gear right here. This is the back of the transmission right here. And then this side is the front, obviously. But yeah, this is all working, I think. We got to get it in there to test it. And then this stupid thing, cannot believe this thing blew up like this, but here it is. It just popped out of there for some reason. It got really hot, or, you know, I don't know. Actually, I didn't even feel it. After it blew up, I kind of stayed away from it, so I don't know if it got hot. It feels a little bit warm, so it probably got hot. But yeah, that's weird, right? So that sucks. That's an expensive coil. And now I got this weird oil all over the dang car thing, whatever this thing is. But yeah, so we gotta get a new coil in there. Alright, we got this transmission in here for the most part. I need to come up because the transmission lifts. So the transmission, you'll see when I push down on this, it'll go down. The transmission lifts up and down in order to adjust the tension on the sprot or on the chains. So, yeah, stop good right there. So, I guess the next step is to get the chains on it and get the tensioner set up how we're gonna do it. Which I'm not really 100% sure on that, but we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, this should be the part for the torque converter that we're missing. So let's open this up real quick. Look like new buttons on there. Not really sure where he got these buttons from, but ours are gone. So, all right. So yeah, this is perfect. We're gonna go ahead and get the chains on the torque converter first, and then or chains on the transmission first, and get that adjustment in the big chains, and then maybe we'll put this on. We gotta get the little chain, the smaller chains on too that run all the way to the front. We got adjustment. We got hours worth of work to do, basically. A few hours worth of work, I'm sure, before we can even think about driving this thing. But, you know, we're getting closer. We are getting closer, one step closer. So we got this piece. So now we're in luck. We can put that torque converter back together, and then we can get this thing going soon, hopefully. Good morning, everybody. We are on the Kadoo again, but we are at a point where we can test it out. So here's our steering. Well, that's not right. It's in neutral right now. It needs to be in gear, I think, to go in one direction. I think that's reverse. So that will make those two arms go forward. Okay, and then if we put it in drive, roll it to make sure it's in drive, they should go to the back, just like that. Okay, so I just this morning finished putting up the chains back on here. We got our driver on, and we got two sets of the drive chains here. So we got this one here and that one over there. We don't have the ones going to the front yet, so technically we are four-wheel drive right now. Fronts are just freewheeling. What else? Yeah, so we got our torque converter driver on there. We actually had to unbolt the transmission, pick it back up, slide it on. It kind of sucked, but that is done. What else did I have to work on? I don't know. Linkage is done. I found another MSD coil that I had laying around. This is a Blaster 2 coil, but it's an old one from a swap meet, and it seems to work fine. And then I got this little resistor on here so that it doesn't overheat the coil. So this is it. We're gonna test this thing. I'm gonna open up the shop and we're gonna fire this thing up and see what it does. Kind of nervous, but it's got brakes, seem to work, so if anything goes weird, just get our brakes. So, let's try this. So let's put it back in neutral for now. That's neutral. Oh yeah, we got our own battery in here now, so we don't have to jump start it. Alright, so that wasn't very successful. Let's try, I don't know. Alright, it doesn't seem like we have enough pressure on our bands, so we need to do some adjustments. Because if I get enough pressure on those bands, it starts to move by turning the steering wheel. But not enough, so I got to get back in there. Make some adjustments and then see if it works. Alright, round 2. Did some adjustments. Whoa! Okay, needs more adjustment apparently. Let's try to see if we can put it in reverse. See how reverse works. Alright, round 3. Kind of screwed it up with the first one there. First adjustment, but let's see. Alright, we got some issues going on. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to pull this transmission back out and I may tear back into it. I'm not 100% sure yet, or I might just see if I can adjust everything on the bench. We'll see. I thought I had everything set up right, but I'm way off. Something is not right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get this thing out of here. We're gonna get it on the bench and we're gonna take a look at it and see what we can do. Alright, that's gonna be it for this one, guys. This thing's been kicking my butt. Next episode we're gonna be doing a rack with a winch and fog lights for this thing, and then probably the episode after that we're gonna be driving this thing for sure. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.